What's up everybody, Man back, welcome to a brand new video, and today we're going to be doing another Godzilla Minus 2 news and updates. In today's video, we've got our first official details for Toho's upcoming Godzilla film, as well as our first true spoilers for the movie as well. So, strap on in because we're finally getting some real news rolling here. Like the video. What are you doing? Like this video right now. As always, I want to start out with some artwork like usual. This first piece was submitted to us by Austin Rowe. This is their MaiGoji. This is their fan Godzilla, and it's heavily inspired by Godzilla Minus One. I think it's so cool. I love when fans play into the regeneration angle of Godzilla. I love when the movies do as well, and this one definitely plays into that. I do not know the lore behind it, but it looks like Godzilla's got like growths on him or like some sort of mutation going on that's really cool. And obviously taking big inspiration from MaiGoji, my favorite Godzilla design. I love the Minus One design, it's my favorite, so this one's very cool. Wanted to spotlight it. Thank you for submitting it, Austin. Following the release of Godzilla The Ride Great Clash, which I've done many videos getting into, Mr. Goji shared this. This was actually made by Godzilla Gang GG, and this is MechaGodzilla 2021 versus MechaGodzilla 2025. Obviously, Takashi Miyazaki's MechaGodzilla and Godzilla The Ride Great Clash is very inspired by MechaGodzilla 2021, taking big inspiration from that, especially you can see in the tail, and this is a very fun versus match. Placing the two of these guys in a battle together looks so awesome. I would love to see two MechaGodzillas duke it out. This is super cool. Who would win this fight, do you guys think, if they're about the same size? Unfortunately, we don't really know much about Great Clash's MechaGodzilla, but I think it'd be pretty tough to beat 2021. He's a powerhouse. Next up, this one is fantastic. This is from Powerhouse Photography. That's a Kaiju toy photographer, and this is the SH Monster Arts Godzilla Minus One versus the SH Monster Arts Godzilla 2001 GMK. Holy crap, it's so cool. The GMK looks fantastic here, and obviously Minus One took big inspiration from GMK, so having these two duke it out is very cool, very thematic. You know, it feels like they're kind of spiritually related in a really neat way. I'm really impressed with this for being toy photography. Like, I could not tell. I truly thought that this was just Photoshop artwork, but it's toy photography. It's just really well done. It's super cool. Toho collaborated with Craft Cola World to drop some Godzilla carbonated drinks, tea, hot water, milk, weird, alcohol, and mixers. Godzilla Cola is a versatile syrup that can be enjoyed in many ways. It can be mixed with alcohol, soda water, milk, hot water, or even plain water to suit a variety of tastes and preferences. I actually don't know if I'd be able to drink this. Looks like it's made with a lot of nuts or something. I don't know. But the bottles are really cool, and I guess that's fun that they're doing that. I wonder what it tastes like. I wonder if anybody out there has tried it. A new Godzilla plush line came out that I thought was so fun. This is the Godzilla Maybe series. Like, I don't know, maybe it's Godzilla, and you'll see what they mean by that when you see them. So these are plushes with very cute little art designs. I like the cartoon versions of them. They're selling stuffy versions, which I think are very cute. Obviously, you've got Godzilla, Mothra, who looks adorable, Shin Godzilla, I believe, and then Godzilla Minus One, who you can recognize because he's got the little scars on him. Shin Godzilla's, of course, always got the red marks on him. They're dropping whatever these are, like pillows, I think, maybe? And this is what they mean by, like, I don't know, maybe it's Godzilla. They look a little weird, don't they? They're very cute. It's got Hedorah, Kamata-kun, which is a lot of fun. The Hedorah is actually maybe my favorite here. And then, of course, the others all carried over into the new art style. And then finally, here's the keychain versions, the clip-ons, the little ones. There's Godzilla, Mothra, Shin Godzilla, and Godzilla Minus One. Very cute. I love it. I love it. It's so silly. They look like gingerbread men. Maybe there's some inspo leading into the Christmas season for what you could do for your gingerbread man this year. Toho announced a Bandai pop-up event. So a new Bandai store is going to be popping up, touring through various cities in Japan starting in mid-August this year. This was exclusively for Godzilla figures. You can see the poster is actually really awesome in the silhouette of Godzilla here, but I can't actually tell which Godzilla. It kind of looks 54-ish, but the tail looked very Shin Godzilla. And you can see it's just advertising a ton of different styles of Godzilla figures, from SH Monster Arts to the mini, what are they, Sofubi Godzilla figures, figures, Ichiban show Godzillas to some very stylized artistic Godzillas. Super cool, very awesome. It's called the Godzilla Caravan. Here's a bunch of places it's going to be popping up. Like I said, it'll be happening from August all the way into early next year, it appears, including some in October right now. So that's pretty sweet. Apita Ichinomiya stores and Akubi stores are going to be adding Godzilla sections. This is something I've covered throughout my Godzilla Minus One coverage, but Godzilla is having such a major expansion in Japan. Obviously, we know that a big thing that they're pushing to is to get younger people interested in Godzilla, and a big way you can do that is through merchandising the character in stores and stuff, and so that's what this is. As they continue to make these big marketing pushes, we're seeing more of these Godzilla store pop-ups happen, and it's so cool. I would love for these to start happening internationally, because just looking at that's got my mouth watering. Like, oh my god, plushies and figures and shirts and stickers and all sorts of stuff. It's got all the Godzilla goods you could want. Super cool. I would love for this to start happening internationally. I really think that they should do that. Not only are the Godzilla corners spreading, but the actual literal Godzilla stores are spreading, and so another official Godzilla pop-up store came to be. This is the Godzilla store Yonago Tenmaya branch. It opened from August 1st through 17th. They had this enormous -1 banner hanging in this 5-story mall, which is super cool. And then they got a Godzilla -1 statue on display, as well as you can see in the middle there, that's the full Godzilla store going on there. Tons of Godzilla stuff there. Great location for it. And then here's a photo of the Godzilla statue with actually the local backdrop behind him. Of course, calling back to the poster they made to celebrate this Godzilla store with Godzilla in front of that same mountain in the background. I don't know what that mountain is, but clearly an iconic landmark culturally and locally. This is just so cool, but the Japanese rock band, the Alfei, I don't totally know how to say it. I think it's the Alfei, received this Godzilla -1 inspired guitar designed by Takashi Yamazaki with Godzilla -1 on it. He looks fantastic. I love it. I love it. Holy crap, it's so cool. The spines on the back are so sick. They look like they glow, which is so awesome. The actual guitar shape is crazy. It looks fantastic. Tons of great detailing on it. Love Godzilla's arms. And then having him shoot the atomic breath be the neck of the guitar is so cool. This is like the most rad thing you could possibly get. This is so sick, and the fact that it's designed by Takashi Yamazaki is even better. As I've covered extensively throughout my Godzilla -1 news and updates, Godzilla the Ride Great Clash is the newest Takashi Yamazaki Godzilla project. Of course, Takashi Yamazaki started out by introducing Godzilla in the Always films, Always Sunset 2, which was just a little cameo moment, but his first primary work with Godzilla was with Godzilla the Ride in 2021. Then he did Godzilla -1, now Godzilla the Ride Great Clash, and then Toho's upcoming Godzilla movie. Godzilla the Ride Great Clash officially opened on August 1st. So because I'm trying to catch up on news right now, I figured I should mention that. And now we get into the big stuff. Are you ready? I'm not entirely sure why, but Toho has announced that they will be closing and terminating the Godzilla Plus app. They do thank people for their support and tease that maybe something else will be coming down the line, but for now, they are terminating the official Godzilla Plus app. For those of you who don't know, the Godzilla Plus app was mostly a Japanese app. I mean, that's basically what it was for, but it had information on Godzilla, and it occasionally had news drops, and the news drops ranged anything from just like, hey, we're doing figures or something, all the way to what was most iconically posted on that app, the very first ever casting call for Godzilla -1. When they were recruiting extras for the big Ginza destruction sequence, they recruited them through the Godzilla Plus app. So it's kind of a shame to see that app go just because of the historical significance of it being the first place that Godzilla -1 ever was brought to the public's attention, as before that Toho had just announced they're making a new monster movie. They didn't say it was Godzilla, and then they posted on that app and everybody knew it was a new Godzilla movie. But that feels particularly relevant because around the same exact time Toho announced director Takashi Yamazaki's later work, super blockbuster monster movie, that's the tentative title, is having a casting call for extras. A new casting call has officially been posted for Shinsaku Gojira, which is the technical placeholder title for the new Godzilla movie. It literally just means new Godzilla movie. Shinsaku Gojira, not to be confused with Shin Gojira. And it is through this casting call that we have our very first ever official details on the Godzilla -1 sequel. Now, previously we've heard, like I've broken down in another video, Takashi Yamazaki talk about how it was difficult to try and find a way to work Mechagodzilla into the new Godzilla movie he's working on because Mechagodzilla does not fit the world of his Godzilla films. And so we had a pretty good indication that it was going to be another period piece. And here we go. The first ever official details for the upcoming Godzilla film. Now, I've heard many people kind of speculating or hoping that maybe the next Godzilla movie, if it is a sequel to -1, which we'll talk about here, some people were hoping that there'd be a big time skip. Like Godzilla -1 took place between 1945 and 1947. And so I saw some people hoping that the next film would take place maybe in the 60s all the way through the 80s. Like I saw some people saying they think it'd be cool to have the film set in the 60s or the 80s. Some people wanted to be set in 1954, which I also think would be kind of cool. But now we know generally that it will be set probably around the same time as Godzilla Minus One. Takashi Yamazaki has previously spoken about the fact that if he were to do another Godzilla movie following Minus One, he would set it roughly as far after Minus One as what happens in real life. So Godzilla Minus One is set between 1945 to 1947, which means I would think for the next Yamazaki Godzilla movie, we're looking at 1949 through 1951. That's probably the range the movie will be set. But that's right, the first official production details came through this extras website. As we can see, the type of people they're looking for give us a pretty good indication of what the movie will be looking like, as well as it gives us the actual filming locations for the movie. So we know generally where these sequences are being filmed, which also can point us in the direction of what we can expect to see in this movie. On this casting website, it says that this is Toho's new feature blockbuster monster movie. Of course, we know it is the new Godzilla film. Takashi Yamazaki is returning as director, scriptwriter, and VFX creator. This is featuring an all-star cast of Japan's most famous characters. What exactly does that mean? Who's gonna be in it? We'll talk about that because we actually do know some spoilers, which we'll get into in a minute here. And that is also thanks to this website. So we'll talk about that in a second, but I think it's fun that they say it's filled with an all-star cast of Japan's most famous characters. Maybe there's going to be some brand new A-listers, like big Japanese A-listers brought on for this film. I think after the success of Godzilla Minus One, it would probably be a pretty hot property that a lot of people would want a part of. Volunteer extras are being recruited. They will be compensated with original commemorative items for the film, so probably like crew shirts and stuff. Remember, actually go back in time. The early reports of Godzilla Minus One was that it was going to be called Godzilla Zero, and this eventually turned out, as reported by Dai-chan, to be a complete misunderstanding, as some crew shirts were seen with the Minus One logo, but they were not seen in full, and so people thought it just said Godzilla Zero, as of course it was written with minus 1.0, the numbers, rather than like into words, minus one, English style. That's where the Godzilla Zero rumors supposedly came from, and so maybe we can expect something like that coming up soon, where like we get a rumored title, and it's because someone missaw a shirt or something, I don't know. Casting notice number 1 says that filming will happen on August 30th, 31st, September 1st, and 3rd, with backup days of September 2nd and 4th. It will happen in Tsukuba Miri City in Ibaraki Prefecture. I found this building when I looked that up. I don't know what this building is, but boy does it look Minus One styled. Like, this looks like it fits the world of Minus One or the time period. I don't know if it actually is period accurate, but just a little bit of an indication. Here's the actual cityscape. I cannot glean what we'll get from this other than that we're honestly probably shooting in the countrysides. Like, we're probably filming in the countrysides. Kind of think back to Godzilla Minus One when Shikishima's flying over the village, or think about the fact that when filming Godzilla Minus One, like a lot of the stuff they filmed was turned into countryside or stuff like that. There's also a lot of temples here that are very pretty that could be featured in the film. I would be very into that as well. Filming was happening from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. with men and women 18 through 70 being accepted as townspeople or people fleeing. So this is a monster attack sequence. It seems like this will be kind of like an equivalent of, you know, Godzilla's iconic attack on Ginza, where all the people are running down the streets. Of course, that was one of the only times when filming Godzilla Minus One that they needed people to do that. So we have an indication here that we're going to be filming another one of those types of sequences with a big chaos crowd running scene. Also seems like this is the very beginning of filming, and they're starting with the Godzilla attack, which is pretty cool. Casting notice number 2 tells us that filming will happen on September 5th with backup days of September 7th and 8th. This is actually in Kasama City, Ibaraki Prefecture. So a lot of this is happening in Ibaraki Prefecture, which is where a lot of Godzilla Minus One was shot as well. Here you can see I just found some photos of the countryside and the city itself, as well as a little hospital, which is important because filming's happening from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. They're accepting men and women 18 through 70, and the roles are hospital staff. Hospital staff. I don't know if this is going to be like in Godzilla Minus One when Noriko is in the hospital. Very well could be an extension of that, you know, picking up with Noriko in the hospital, having some scenes with her there. Very well could be that, or maybe Noriko has to go back to the hospital a couple times, as obviously the thing in her neck is going to be a big problem for her, so she's presumably going to need some medical attention throughout that film. Could also be something like Godzilla 1954's big aftermath section, where there's tons of bodies and victims in the hospital, something like that. I'm not entirely sure. Casting notice number 3 is for filming on September 14th with backup days of September 15th and 16th. This is in Kuji County, Ibaraki Prefecture. Very beautiful, like very much a grasslands type area. This reminds me a lot of the ending of Minus One when Shikishima's flying over the village. It's very pretty. Filming was happening from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. so all of these are daytime shoots. Just like Godzilla Minus One had most of the movie set during the day, which I'm so thankful for. Seems like, you know, our monster attacks in this movie is going to be set during the day as well. Men and women 18 through 70 were being accepted with the roles of people in evacuation shelters, which reminds me of Monarch Legacy of Monsters, also filmed in Tokyo in Japan. Of course, in that, they had the Godzilla evacuation shelters. All our characters were brought down into it, and they sheltered there thinking Godzilla was going to be there, and then he actually didn't show up. I think he probably will show up here, or a monster will be there. I would hope that it comes across like one of the best visuals, I think, of a Kaiju shelter is actually from Pacific Rim, that fantastic sequence in Hong Kong in the Kaiju evacuation shelter, but I'm very excited about that. I would not be surprised if the sequence takes some level of inspiration from Monarch Legacy of Monsters, given that in the past Takashi Yamazaki's not been shy about taking inspiration from the Monsterverse, all the way from Godzilla the Ride to Godzilla Minus One, taking a lot of inspiration from 2014 in particular, and then of course Godzilla the Ride Great Clash seemingly taking a lot of inspiration from Godzilla vs. Kong. But it also shows us that there's going to be a little more emphasis placed on the human devastation during the Kaiju attacks. Of course, that first movie's so focused on Shikishima and Noriko. When Godzilla is attacking Ginza, we see a little bit of the people fleeing, but we stay with Noriko most of that attack sequence, only deviating from her once with the reporters, and then other than that, we're with Noriko the whole time. Whereas here, I don't know if Noriko is going to be there or Shikishima's going to be there in the Kaiju evacuation shelter, I'm not sure, but it seems like there will be more drama during the attack. You know, people have to go into these evacuation shelters, there's townspeople fleeing. It just paints the picture to me that we might be spending a little more time in the devastation, which checks out with Takashi Yamazaki's previous comments where he said the scope and scale of this new movie are going to be a lot bigger than Godzilla Minus One was. Where we get the details on the time period and setting of this movie actually come from the description of the types of people they're looking to cast. The requirements to be eligible to be an extra in this movie in the first place regarding things like hairstyle and color restrictions, so all performers were told they must dress appropriately for the period, although they don't state when the period is. They stress that due to historical accuracy, the need for hair, makeup, and costumes were very important, so they asked for photos of the people submitting to be in their current hairstyles and colors, as well as they need info on their heights, clothing size, and shoe size so that they can dress them in accurate clothing for the period, you know? So it's not like a just show up in whatever you're wearing kind of deal, or like show up in something that doesn't have a logo on it, which is a lot of the time what you tell people when you're filming them as extras in a movie. Whereas here, they need to see your current hairstyle because that's a very important part of the time period, as well as they need to know your size so that they can dress you appropriately for the time period. For men, they ask that they have black hair, gray hair, shaved head, and natural undyed brown hair. Those are all acceptable, but black hair is preferred and short hair is preferred. For women, they ask that they have black hair, gray hair, and naturally brown hair are acceptable, but again, black hair is preferred, and the hair must be long enough to be tied up. Of course, back in the day, it was very traditional for women to have longer hair, especially to put it up like Noriko does in Minus One, and so having someone with like really short hair or very stylized hair, that's not really going to be something that you would see in that time period, and so those people would be ineligible from consideration. They say that they actually did allow people to dye their hair black, they just ask that they don't spray it black on the day, dye it beforehand. And then they do state no glasses will be allowed during the shoot, so please wear contacts, and that's because they need like period accurate eyeglasses, and they're not going to have different glasses of different prescriptions for all the extras, so just don't wear glasses, wear your contacts, and then you're eligible. As for makeup, that was to be determined on the day, as they again needed to do it period accurate. This all checks out very well with what happened with Godzilla Minus One. It reminds me a lot of that Ginza attack sequence. Of course, there's a lot of people wearing a lot of very traditional clothing. Like there was a lot of attention put into the way people dressed during that Ginza attack. And so in this new Godzilla movie, you're going to need to emphasize those same period accurate features. I'm very excited to see what they do next. The artist Igamo, a teetotaler, I think that's how you would say that name. They posted this artwork of Legion from Gamera applying to be an extra in Godzilla Minus One. It's this cute little meme showing all the Legions saying like they want to be extras in the movie and then attacking Godzilla, and it was liked and shared by Takashi Yamazaki, which drew some attention to being like, oh my god, maybe the new monster is going to be like a swarm monster, maybe Godzilla's going to be fighting like a swarm of little monsters or something. I don't think that means much of anything, but that Takashi Yamazaki found the artwork to be cute and funny, and so he shared it, but I figured I'd mention that. To end things off here, we actually do have spoilers for the new Godzilla movie. We can pretty confidently confirm if it's going to be a -1 direct sequel or not, as well as who some of the cast members will be. So if you don't want any spoilers, get out of here now. I'm only calling them spoilers just because Toho didn't officially announce this. They didn't mean to announce this. This is something that fans uncovered through the casting website, but Toho didn't come right out and say it themselves. So I just want to be clear that while I don't think it's actually spoilers, it's not really breaking news or anything like that. Some people might consider it semi-sensitive at the moment until Toho officially confirms it themselves. So just a warning, you know? But by digging into the source code of Takashi Yamazaki's casting website, the Yamazaki Movies Extra.jp website, which is where they're casting for the -1 sequel, people like Kaiju 14 discovered that in the keywords contained in the website's description, we of course have the names of the actors Ryonosuke Kamiki and Minami Hamabe. Their names are in the source code right there. Of course, these are the actors for Koichi Shikishima and Noriko Oishi. So confirmation that this is a Godzilla -1 direct sequel. It's in the same time period as Godzilla -1. This is what they mean by the movie will star the biggest stars in Japan, is that they're bringing back the cast of Godzilla -1. I can say that this is consistent with what I have been told and seen about the production of the new Godzilla movie. This is all checking out that this is a direct sequel to Godzilla -1, and that it seems likely, based on this casting website, we can expect to see Shikishima and Noriko back, and that will help inform where we're thinking the movie is going to be heading, and like why I think that hospital stuff seems to maybe lean into the Noriko side of things, as of course she would be having some medical problems following -1. So yes, it does seem like it's a direct sequel. I know that's not groundbreaking news here. I know that deep down we've all known it's a Godzilla -1 sequel. Toho still hasn't officially confirmed it on purpose, and they also haven't announced the cast yet. So while we have this, it's more of just soft confirmation for us, and then at some point Toho will announce it. I actually do not know what the purpose would be behind the scenes of not fully announcing that it's going to be a -1 sequel, unless they just feel like they don't need to, like it's obvious, so there shouldn't even be any ambiguity. But I think there still is some level of ambiguity. Of course, we know that it is a -1 sequel, and so yeah, I don't know. I think that this is cool that Kamiki and Hamabe will be returning for the new movie. Of course, they're fantastic in Godzilla -1. Yeah, I cannot wait. I cannot wait. But what do you guys think? What do you think about the time period being set around the time Godzilla -1 came out? And when do you think specifically the movie will be taking place? I'd love to hear your thoughts down below, as well as what do you think about the return of Shikishima and Noriko? Comment below and let me know. As always, I want to give a huge thank you to my patrons over on Patreon. It is through the support of the patrons on Patreon that I'm able to make videos like this for you. If you want to support the Patreon, you can use the link in the description below where you can get early access to content, access to the Discord community, and more. If that's such a thing, please consider joining as a channel member. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you guys all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I will see you all next time for the next one. D-Man out.